We will have high standards here, and we will fulfill those standards.
Brian Kelly arrived in Baton Rouge and wasted no time setting the expectations for his new football program. One with rich tradition and lofty goals, but looking to reestablish itself after 2 straight disappointing seasons. And after just 1 game, it certainly felt like LSU may be in for another rough year. Even members of the media seem to be doubting Kelly's ability to bring the Tigers back to glory.
We'll open it up to this late arriving media crowd. I don't think it has anything to do with winning. I think it has to do with being on time.
Then the pressure grew after a 40-13 drubbing at the hands of Tennessee in Baton Rouge. But as the saying goes, it's not how you start, but rather how you finish. The Bayou Bengals rattled off 5 big wins since, mauling rival after rival in the process before getting stunned in College Station. But even after that, they still have the chance to be kings of the conference in Brian Kelly's first season. But standing in their way, college football's final boss, the Georgia Bulldogs. A ferocious pack of dogs that has torn through its challengers all season long. Top 10 in total defense and total offense. Not a weakness in sight. And in their line of vision, a 2nd consecutive national championship, which no team has accomplished since the playoff era began in 2014. But this just might be the group to do it.
I've been proud of what our guys have done, but I'm always looking for our guys to play their best, and our best game is ahead of us.
The Dogs seek a dynasty. The Tigers are here to take down Goliath. It's all bite versus all fight. A championship is on the line in Atlanta, and the college football world will be watching on CBS.
All right, Texas A&M let the air out of the balloon a little bit on LSU's outside shot to make the playoff, but you just heard it, Brian Kelly will still get his shot to play for an SEC championship in his first season. Only problem is the defending national champs are on the other sideline, hot off completing back-to-back undefeated regular seasons for the first time in school history. The Dogs are just getting started. So let's get this preview started with 2 of our team site reporters, Glen West of Go 24/7 and Jordan Hill from Dogs 24/7. Guys, it's a question that many will be asking this championship weekend. What is on the line? Georgia lost this game last year, and Brian Kelly is coaching in his first. So what would a win mean for each team? Jordan, kick us off.
Well, it's kind of funny thinking about the success that Georgia has had under Kirby Smart. Really, the game that has repeatedly eluded them is the SEC championship. Kirby is only 1-3 in the SEC title. The last title was in 2017. So other than a few redshirt freshmen from that team like Robert Bill, Stetson Bennett, guys that didn't really play on that team, nobody on this Georgia team has ever been able to claim that they have taken home the SEC crown. So there's been questions this week, 2 players about, hey, are you guys looking ahead? How do you focus on this game? And they've talked about the fact that they've never been a part of an SEC championship. I do think it resonates with a lot of these players. They want to have that crown. And, there were players after that national title, the players who came back who talked about, hey, we missed out on the SEC crown. So I don't think this is going to be a situation where Georgia is caught looking ahead. I think they understand the magnitude of this game and want to have another accomplishment under their belts.
Yeah, for LSU, this is this week marks the 1-year anniversary of LSU announcing Brian Kelly as their head coach. And so just to think about where this team is, 365 days after that announcement, it's pretty incredible. You want to talk about the win over Alabama at home that really sparked a great end of season run for the Tigers. I think there's an understanding of what LSU let slip away last week against Texas A&M, and just in talking with players and coaches this week ahead of the game, there's a real understanding here that this is our national championship. They're treating it like this is their most important game of the year. They have an opportunity really as a program to establish themselves in the SEC and really put together a strong resume here down the stretch. So definitely LSU is looking at this as a positive and certainly a momentum builder as they head into their first offseason under Coach Kelly.
Let's dig into this matchup. We know Jaden Daniels fighting through some injuries during that regular season finale. So first, Glenn, what's his status? And also, what does the offense look like with versus potentially without him?
Yeah, so he's dealing with a little bit of an ankle injury right now. It sounds like he avoided a major injury. They were a little bit concerned about a high ankle sprain initially, but the testing really early in the week came back good. He had some more tests done on Tuesday, and we really haven't gotten an update since Tuesday on just how he's been able to progress. We'll be able to learn a little bit more as the week goes by, but undoubtedly LSU's chances in this game hinder on his health and his ability to really show the kind of quarterback that he was in those wins against Alabama, against Arkansas, against Ole Miss earlier this year. So there's a lot riding on this injury, and certainly a big X factor for LSU is making sure that he's as healthy as possible for this game.
Yeah, and Jordan, with that unknown at quarterback, how does Georgia prepare to defend this LSU offense?
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. It was kind of funny when we had a chance to talk to Georgia defensive tackle Zion Logue. It was brought up, hey, we're not sure if Jaden's going to play, and Zion was essentially like, well, that's news to me. I do think that would cause, a real big shift in how Georgia wants to play LSU defensively. I think that, if Jaden is able to play, and you would expect, everything he can do to be on the field and be able to participate in this game. Look at a guy like Javon Bullard, a star. That nickelback position for Georgia. I think he's a guy that would spy. He's a guy that has done tremendously well blitzing off the end. And, Georgia's pass rush has been consistently one of its biggest weaknesses, but there have been flashes where it's come through. I think specifically the Tennessee game, they did a great job coming after Hendon Hooker. So it's a huge question, as far as how Georgia's going to prepare for this game. Again, we don't know at this point in the week what Jaden's going to be able to do. But I think Georgia very much anticipates he'll be in the game, and they know that his feet can be a difference maker, especially if this game is going to be a close one.
I'm sure Brian Kelly is going to hold that card as long as possible. Meanwhile, the Georgia offense as a whole may have gone kind of under the radar this season, but make no mistake, the stars on that side of the ball are at the tight end position. So, Jordan, how much do those guys make this offense go?
Oh, it's huge. And it's funny, too. You've got Brock Bowers, who a lot of people thought could have been a Mackey Award winner as a true freshman. He's had another excellent season. And then Darnell Washington may be the breakout player on offense this year. Just the way he's caught the ball. He's had the propensity to try to leap and hurdle everybody. When you're 6'7", you can pretty much do whatever you want. That tandem, those two tight ends specifically, have been huge, and it's really the thing that impresses me the most about both those tight ends is the fact that Georgia has really never totally relied on those guys. Yes, Brock Bowers had a huge game against South Carolina. Both those guys have made plays throughout. But you've never gotten in a situation where you just know Georgia's only going to throw to 19 and only going to throw to 0. If they get into some of these tight games, if this game is close on Saturday, I would expect that they really target those guys. But I think coming into this season, there were a lot of questions. Is Georgia going to have 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, a lot? And we've seen a lot of 2 tight ends, but a lot of the times it's been in running situations, letting those guys block because they're tremendous blockers. But they haven't just completely relied on those guys, and I think that's huge. With the games that Georgia could have coming up, to have those guys still fresh and have a little wear on the tires.
Yeah, Glenn, how do the Tigers manage those mismatches, not just in the pass game, but also in the run game?
Yeah, this is a unique matchup for LSU. They really haven't faced an offense like this all season in terms of just the dynamic duo that is Darnell Washington and Brock Bowers. We asked cornerback Mekhi Garner about it earlier this week, and he pretty much just said, look, those guys are their offense. It's really hard to guard those two in the middle of the field. It's going to be really interesting to see how LSU schemes this game up. They faced a lot of mobile quarterbacks this year, and they've really implemented Harold Perkins, the freshman star linebacker, as kind of a spy for those mobile quarterbacks for a lot of these games. And so it's going to be very interesting to see what his role looks like against a guy in Stetson Bennett who can move a little bit, but really isn't the prototypical running quarterback that you see in this conference so often. So it's going to be really interesting to see if maybe they drop him back in coverage a little bit more. He's an extremely prolific athlete who could be able to drop and cover 1 or 2 of those guys in a given series. So it's going to be really interesting. LSU's been a second half team of adjustments all year. And so if they can get into halftime with this game a little bit closer than maybe people expect, that's when LSU really has been able to thrive, is in the second half of their game plans.
Friends, thanks so much for all the great intel. I appreciate it. Keep it locked in to Go 24/7 and Dogs 24/7 for coverage of this game and all things Tigers and Dogs all season long.